The following video could have graphic images as it pertains to hunting, fishing, and the outdoors.
I didn't just come here to say I'm back home in Texas. I didn't just come here to get away from where my ex lives. I didn't come down to wander around with my head in the clouds and my feet off the ground, but it works. It sure doesn't hurt. I came here to live my life like my hair's on fire.
JBush Outdoors is brought to you by
Texas Wildlife Supply, just down the road in Brady, Texas.
Texas Wildlife Supply in Brady, Texas builds blinds, feeders. They build the best there is. I've looked around and there are none better than this. So if you're looking for a blind or a feeder, or you need ammunition, or you're just looking for a new gun, come on down to Brady, Texas. Texas Wildlife Supply. They've got everything you need. They may even have stuff you've never even dreamed of. Well, I have. It's starting to thaw. Just the other day, they were driving trucks across this. You can still see tracks. That's the only highway leaving, and it goes all the way to that other side. I don't know if you can see very good, but this is a big river. They have big barges that bring in supplies from Anchorage, Seattle. This is quite a hub for this part of the country. And when I think about the fact that people here, the Yupik, the natives, which 90% of the population here is Yupiks, they use this for sustenance. I mean, they kill moose and caribou. And when the salmon are running, they've got fish camps all up and down this river. And the entire family, grandparents, parents, kids, grandkids, all stay in the fish camps getting supplies for next winter. It puts a different spin on the sport of hunting and fishing. We do it because we enjoy it. They do it because they're trying to stay alive. And it wasn't very long ago that you couldn't just go down the street and buy a taco or a cheeseburger. If you wanted something to eat, you had to go out and get it. It's a sport to us. It's life or death to them. When I think of Alaska, I think of the mountains. I think of the rugged beauty, the northern lights, also known as the aurora lights. I think of Anchorage at the edge of the sea below the mountains. But there is much more to this beautiful, majestic place. If you make it past the initial offerings, you'll find much more than just the aesthetic beauty. Did you know there are volcanoes in Alaska? Me neither. We all know about the bears, the grizzlies, and the black bears. Alaska is home to upwards of 11,000 wolves, a few mountain lions, a whole bunch of lynx, and one of the nastiest critters in the woods, the wolverine. Alaska is home to moose, caribou, elk, black-tailed Sitka deer, mountain goats, Dall sheep, and muskox. Off the coast you'll find gray whales, humpback whales, beluga whales, and one of my very favorite animals of all, the orca killer whale. Alaska has walrus and all different kinds of seals. And there are too many fish to even begin to try to identify. The salmon, pike, halibut, there's all kinds of fish. And with all this wildlife roaming the woods, with me looking for them with a camera, guess what I've seen? Foxes and rabbits. That's it. Now, I will say the rabbits, the Arctic rabbits, are actually gorgeous. They're as pretty as anything you'll find in any pet store. I even got some pretty fantastic video of one. Did you see that? It's similar to a Bigfoot sighting. You got to be on your toes or you'll miss it. Now, before anybody gets too upset about me possibly unnecessarily beating myself up for not seeing moose or bear or a wolf, I got to defend myself. The locals tell me that this has been one of the worst winters they've had for decades. we had blizzard after blizzard after blizzard. So I stayed locked up, and I think the critters did too. Bethel, Alaska is located 400 miles straight west of Anchorage. It is home to the Kuskokwim 300, a 300-mile dog sled race that begins and ends in Bethel. It's also the heart of the Yukon Delta National Wildlife Refuge. The Saddle Creek Ranch is located in the heart of Texas, on a summit in the Brady Mountains. We offer world-class whitetail, exotics, hogs, predators, turkeys. The accommodations are second to none, including a lodge, swimming pool, sauna, everything you need for a Texas hunting experience. For information on booking your hunt, call 325-456-2230. The locals have told me about these two ladies that come out here, and as soon as this river thaws, just a few feet away from this wall, they'll be fishing out here from sunup to sundown, catching a fish called a burbot. It looks to me like a cross between a catfish and an eel, and it's spotted like a bullfrog. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'll show you. But they're looking to fill their freezer for next winter. They're gonna fish sunup to sundown right here, and I'm hoping that I can get to meet them. They're in their 80s, a couple of sweet little native Yupik ladies, and they call themselves the Kuskokwim Hookers. So from what I understand, they're characters, and I'm hoping to find them, and we'll get some video and see them catching their fish. Well, as I sit in my chair and daydream out the window, admiring my Alaska treasures, my moose antler Ulu knife, and my Alaskan beaver pelt, I realized my trip to Alaska will come to an end before the ice will thaw enough to see the two esters catching their burbots off the river. I must admit, I'm a little sad. Well, things don't always work out like you hope. Didn't work out this time. Mother Nature didn't cooperate. The ice didn't thaw in time. But I'm taking more home away from Alaska than I ever thought that I would. I learned a whole bunch, and I was just talking to a Yupik elder a while ago, and I was talking about fishing and how I was disappointed that the ice didn't thaw in time. And I made a jest about I wish the global warming would have kicked in so that the ice would melt. And I was being facetious, but real seriously, she looked at me and she said, "Do you really think people have control over nature?" And I said, "No." And she said, "No." I have spent my whole life in the outdoors, literally since I was a baby. Thanks to my dad, I've been hunting and fishing. I've grown up hunting and fishing, and one of the things that we love to do is harvest meat to eat. I have flippantly said at different times in my life that hunting and fishing was my life, and it's humbling to find out that in the year 2021, there are people that are hunting and fishing for sustenance. In case you're wondering, sustenance is the maintaining of someone or something for life or existence. We take so much for granted that we have today the freedoms, the luxuries, but for the Yupik people in Alaska, they're still doing it today for survival. It's given me a different perspective on hunting and fishing and the outdoors. In Texas, if we have a bad storm and it damages our home, you run outside and it may rain on you. If a storm here damages your home, there's nowhere to run. If you go outside, you will not survive. That's just part of life. It's given me a new appreciation for what I have in Texas. I love you, Texas. Hang on, Texas, I'll be back. I didn't just come here to say, hey, I'm back home in Texas.
I came here to live my life like my hair's on fire. Taking 90 around the
I'm not trying to sound over dramatic, but this is similar to being back in the 1800s, honestly. This river is starting to thaw. And to give you an example, there's people standing on the right over there, right next to an area that has already thawed. And 40 miles that way is the Bering Sea. And this river's so big, to give you an example, last December when I was here, there was 2 native young men in their early 20s that were on snow machines out on this ice. They thought it was thick enough. It's not thick enough for me, no matter how thick it is. But both of them went through and they were gone. And this river carried them out to the Bering Sea. This place it's unforgiving. And if you're not careful,